go of your fear.
Bruh.
Hands was released on June 11th along with Maria and the Perk Tree update. But what everyone is talking about is how overpowered Hands is. Killers desperately needed a new killer that was good because the game was getting stale, and to also like shake up the meta, because the meta is basically Leatherface, Cook, and Hitchhiker. But with Gunn releasing an overpowered family member, does this remind you when Gunn released a game-breaking victim named Danny? Now let's talk about Danny when he was in his prime. Yes, I know Danny is not as good as he was when he was first released, but he's still pretty good. When Danny first came out, everybody was hyped because he had pretty good base stats. He was basically Connie 2.0 because of the perk named Fast Hands. Fast Hands basically punishes family members for doing their job. Families need to check up on doors to make sure victims aren't trying to unlock it, which is doing their job and patrolling, which essentially rewards Danny with Fast Hands, making him someone to rush with, which contradicts with what the developers want about slowing the game down, because with Danny, he's basically a character made for rushing. He has Connie's ability plus his own ability, which makes him a menace. He had a game-breaking tamper ability that caused most matches to end in literally minutes. Danny barely needed any knowledge and could tamper the fuse box, valve, generator, battery, and it would be open for a long time. There's nothing family could have done at that point. A lot of family members got so frustrated that anytime they would hear the valve or fuse box go off, they would just DC. Or to prevent any of that of happening, they would just lobby dodge Danny if they ever saw him in a lobby. Danny finally got nerfed February 6th. It took 10 weeks for him to get nerfed. Let me repeat that again. It took 10 weeks for him to get nerfed. He could still tamper, but it took much longer for him to gain knowledge now. After all the complaints, it finally happened after 2 months. I was there on Reddit and Twitter. It was getting pretty toxic out there. I'm pretty sure this was Gunn's intention from the very start. Release a game-breaking victim, then nerf him later on when the sales has reached its peak.
Finally!
All of this is intentional, which finally brings us to talk about Hands. On to Hands. Hands is the first family other than Leatherface to be able to destroy barricades with a perk called Barrier Breaker, which is pretty useful because half the time when someone is Leatherface, they don't even break the barriers. Like, that shit is so frustrating. He can also place traps at gates, the fuse, valves, and generators with his electric trap, and if someone runs into them, they will be electrocuted. Oh, she's gonna go get messed up. I have my trap over there. She's dead, she's dead. Get her, get her. Good thing I placed that trap over there. Yo, sissy, teabag her, teabag her. Yeah, baby, good shit. Good shit. He also has a barge that is, in my opinion, pretty useless. But the most controversial ability that he has is called Rip Stall. It allows him to rip out the valve, fuse, and reset the generator and battery. I think it's about 70 seconds for his ability to regenerate on level 2. This is mostly everyone's complaint with him, the fact that he gets his ability so quickly again. The fact that his Rip Stall ability comes back so fast is crazy, I'm not gonna lie. But if Danny has his tamper, I guess it's fair for Hands to have his Rip Stall ability. It's gonna get nerfed eventually, the timer. But there are posts everywhere on how he should be nerfed. It's only been a week and everyone is complaining. This is the same thing that happened to Danny when he first got released. There were posts everywhere, I mean everywhere, about him getting nerfed. But it took 10 weeks for him to get nerfed. The developers definitely did this on purpose to get sales, then eventually it's gonna happen. But the question is when? When will this happen? In my opinion, the thing I like about Hands being in a match is that it slows the game down. Hands is the perfect counter for rushing, but especially for Danny. Majority of the players hated how far the game ends, but with Hands' ability, the game lasts much longer now, which creates a much better experience. I feel like now victims have to actually communicate on what they're doing so they can time when they want to exit. With family members, when one family member sucks, the game is over. But now I feel like with victims, if they don't like talk on the mic and communicate through text chat what they're doing, they're all gonna be slaughtered. So yeah, that's what I think. So guys, it's only been a week, and obviously on social media there's complaints everywhere. Nerf hands, he's overpowered, he shouldn't be able to do this. So I have a question for you guys. When do you realistically think that hands will be nerfed? Because if Danny took 10 weeks for him to be nerfed, I'm pretty sure Gun is learning from this. They're not going to wait 10 weeks, but they got to capitalize on hand sales. And I still feel like 1 month is still very early. I can see hands being nerfed around the 6 weeks mark. Guys, they got to capitalize on the sales. They're not nerfing hands anytime soon. Around 6-7 weeks is when I see him getting nerfed. But let me know what you guys think down below, because I really think around 6-7 weeks he'll be nerfed. I think what's going to happen is that they're going to increase his install recovery time. Not install. Whatever it's called. Rip stall recovery time. From max 72 seconds to maybe, I don't know, like 4 or 5 minutes, because it's pretty cheesy right now. Then what they'll do is that they will increase, they will buff his barge. That's what I think that's going to happen. Let me know what you guys think down below.